Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gearhead Perspective. Tonight, we are going to do a little updates on our junk that we've worked on this weekend, and then we got a few topics that we're going to get into. So, how about John? You want to kick it off for us today?
Working on junk.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, I've been working on my junk. Got what was supposed to be super simple and like a quick little deal done, and it only took me all day.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I put an electric water pump drive on my Nova.
All right, so I kind of explained a little bit better because I didn't even know this existed till about 3 months ago.
Yeah,
Maybe that's just me being dumb, but I didn't know.
Yeah, turns out you don't have to either risk it with off-brand parts or give Mazir, your firstborn, to get an electric water pump. You can add I got this Moroso electric water pump drive kit, and it's supposed to fit like any, I don't know, there's
it's
lid.
a universal thing,
right? It's a universal thing. Fits small block Chevy, big block Chevy, short water pump, long water pump, small block Mopar, Ford. Like,
doesn't
it's
matter
got
the
holes all
rotation.
over it. It's got all kinds of stuff.
Doesn't matter rotation.
Well, you face it one way, you face it the other way.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what you already have. This will work on both.
Yeah, right? I mean, you can turn it backwards. Yeah, for sure. Okay. But I, in the end, I was inches away from abandoning the project altogether and throwing this deal up on Marketplace. And oh man, a guy could just put that bolt in and then drill and tap a hole in your alternator bracket, and the deal's right in the right spot and super simple. That's what I ended up doing.
I probably been the first guy commenting on that, going, "Hey, what's the best cash deal you do on that deal right there?"
Yeah,
that's my line. What's the best cash deal you do?
Yeah, it's a cool little deal. Once I got that done and I knew everything was going to work, I went ahead and wired it into the relay box and got everything jamming. I'm going to see how it does because I don't know. One of the most embarrassing things about this car is you fire it up and it sounds really good, except for the fact that the belt squeals like a pig for a little bit when you first start it up. And I know the reason, and it's dumb, but it's because I got billet pulleys, and this isn't going to fix that. But if it's only driving the alternator, it'll be better because I know when my fans would kick on, it would squeal for like 15 seconds and then be caught back up, or I don't know.
That is annoying.
Oh man, it's just, yeah. That thing's cool. Fire it up, squeal, and then you're just embarrassed. So
is this just an electric motor that bolts onto your motor that has another belt that actually runs the water pump?
Yeah, it's got the it looks like just a little blower motor, and may very well be what it is. I mean, but it's just a bracket, little blower motor, a little cog pulley, and they give you a little plastic pulley to put on your water pump. I think the motor spins at like 26, or supposed to drive like 2,600 RPM. I don't know if that's out of the motor or if that's what it translates to on the nose of the water pump. Hoping that's what it translates to on the nose of the water pump, but I do not know. I'm going to run it for a while and see what happens, and gives me a really good reason if it breaks to get a really cool Mazir.
So have you tried it yet? Does it seem to work? Does it seem to do what it says it's going to do?
Yeah. No, everything works. It works like a champ. I wired it in with my electric fans. So first thing I do when I turn the car on is kick the electric fans on. So now to kick on both electric fans and the electric water pump drive. I'm going to throw like a 160 on, 140 off switch in line on the fans. So when I turn the switch on, the water pump will come on, but the fans won't kick on unless a car gets over 160. So
right, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's without having a ECU like some of you big boy cars.
I don't know about big
Twisted
boy
there.
car. Yeah,
But like my carburetor don't know how to tell a fan when to come on, so I just go ahead and buy cheap sensors like that.
just add another piece of tape to the dash that says "Turn water pump on."
Yeah.
Turn fans
Because I've
on.
forgotten before. Turns out if you forget to turn the fans on and you're going down the road, it don't really get hot. But if you don't turn on the water pump and the fans, I'm guessing it'll go ahead and get hot.
Yeah,
probably just boil itself.
Be a little bit different outcome.
Yeah.
So were the instructions just overly complicated, or does it just not? Is it not as universal as they say it is?
It's super universal, but you gotta, like, if you had the right water pump, because there's probably 100 different long water pumps you can get for a big block Chevy. As far as what casting it is, they don't all look the same. And there's a long or short, blah, blah. But then on top of that, there's a whole host of ways you can mount an alternator. Where mine's mounted, just made it, if the alternator was gone altogether, you could have bolted this thing right up and boom, here it goes. But because of the alternator bracket I had, it didn't want to live where it was supposed to live. But turns out I think it looks better and is just as solid as is.
What I like about that setup is if you're on a drag and drive or whatever, I say drag and drive because that's what you built the car for, right?
Yeah.
If you're on an event or you're out driving around or you're on a cruise or whatever, if something was to happen to that motor and you carry the stuff with you that you took off.
Yeah.
If it's just the electric motor that goes out, you can flop your old stuff back on and your mechanical pump's still working. You're still on the road. You're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I really like about that little program. I
got an aluminum pulley and a belt somewhere in here that, as long as you have that stuff, if it's a Friday night and this thing craps out, I can always throw that back on and still go have a fun weekend.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
I just go straight to the drag and drive thing. If you're 100 miles from anywhere or 800 miles from home or whatever.
Yeah.
Easy enough to throw the different pulley and belt on and drive to the spot. And you can still drag, you can still do everything you're going to do, race and drive and all. It just, without the luxury of the electric pump.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how hard it is to find pulleys if you don't already have pulleys.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Keep what you have and keep it, available. Keep it handy.
Yeah. Like if you're one of the guys running a full electric water pump and your stuff goes out, you're going to be looking for either a whole replacement electric water pump or the right pulleys, belt, and water pump from a parts store, and that ain't happening.
Or like one of our buddies is doing, he's got a spare motor.
Yeah,
he's going to carry that. So,
yeah.
So what would you rate this thing as far as like difficulty to install? Like if you were to go 0 to 10 on this, how much of a pain was it?
Man, that's hard to rate because I've done a lot of stuff to this car. We've done a lot of things, but in how much of a pain I thought it was going to be, or it should have been based on because you've looked at this thing on Summit, Bo. You've probably read it. You probably already read the instructions
front to back.
Yeah. And it's pretty simple. Looks like it's just gonna, I grab these two bolts, these two spacers, mount the bracket, and then the motor mounts and you put the belt on. Yeah. Bingo, bango. Now you just wire it up and it goes.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that's going to lead us into a few minutes on our first topic is,
Yeah.
jobs that are supposed to be simple that lead to more. But anyway, go
Well,
ahead. Sorry.
I think yesterday is when I made the decision to do this, because I think it was yesterday I come out here and pulled the valve covers off, went through the valves and relaxed all the valves and did an oil change, did a few things, which turned into a whole lot more. And then I was like, I need to do something to the car, make myself feel good. So I pulled that thing out of the cabinet. I've had it for a while and just haven't put it on. And I spent about an hour trying to figure out why it wasn't fitting up last night. And then finally I just, you know what, I'm gonna shelf this. Went to bed, got up this morning. I jumped back on it this afternoon and nothing was working out. I talked to you a little bit, Bo, and basically said, I'm about to shit can this deal. And and then I said, okay, what's everybody do? And you see all these guys put, vacuum pumps, electric motors, all kinds of crap driven off of their crank on the front of these motors. And none of it looks standard. It's all just, how does it work for your application? And I just kind of went out of the box like that and said, okay, where could I stick this thing and it live happy? And it just worked. And I started holding it up there and I clamped it up there with vice grips. And okay, the belt works fine. I can put a bolt here, drill and tap a hole here. Boom, staying solid. Everything works like a champ. So that's where I was.
Well, at the end of the day, our cars are drivers.
Oh,
we
yeah.
like to drive them and enjoy them. If you want to build a show car where it's minimal, like we were talking on the phone earlier, if you want a nice, shiny, electric water pump and you want to see the timing cover and nothing in the front, it's clean, that's awesome. And that's great. But doing what we like to do with our cars, that's not, I'm not going to say it's not realistic because it can be, and there are cars doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Well,
a lot of people like us, we have to add stuff like this.
Yeah.
I owned it all. You sent me some pictures of it on the motor. I think it gives it like a cool, like utilitarian look. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. I mean, but I know what your car is for. It's a purpose built car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not all about looks, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. And it's
have to bypass the clean look or the show car look to get function out of it.
Yeah, when you look at my car,
with it.
If you half know what you're looking at, you're gonna say, okay, well, this guy has to figure some stuff out because he's not.
Hey, John, buddy, I think you're muted or something.
I can hear him.
Yeah.
No,
everything's working good on my end.
Okay. Can you hear him now?
You good? I think it might be Bo.
I don't know. Can you hear me, Bo? I think his Bluetooth speaker just went out.
Yeah. Your blue teeth. Blue teeth.
About now. Your Bluetooth went down.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
Are you good now?
You guys now.
Okay.
And we're back.
Must have shut off or something.
I don't know what happened. Anyway,
go ahead. We're gonna have to cut that out. This is gonna suck.
No, we're not cutting any of that out. Let it roll.
No. Roll on.
All right. Well, Fro, what about you? Did you get anything done this weekend?
I did get something done this weekend, but it does kind of lead into the next topic. So if you're wanting to go into the next topic, we'll go in. If not, you go ahead and talk about what you got done this weekend, and then we'll get into me and I will cover.
Yes, John.
I did something dumb.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Been looking for an oil leak. because I mean, valve covers leak, and I think they're meant to, but an excessive amount was leaking, and like I'm beating that thing up from hell to breakfast, and I ended up getting under there, and I'm frustrated, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna change the oil and wipe a bunch of stuff off under here, and I reached up and I grabbed the filter, and it's covered in oil. And I went to spin it, and I was like, gosh dang, my hand's just spinning on the filter. And I grabbed my filter wrench because I thought I got to break that thing loose. And I stuck that filter wrench up there, and I went to put it on the filter and tinked it into the side of the filter, and the filter was loose as shit. It was like super loose. So,
well, bonus.
Yeah, turns out I don't know. I don't know what I did there. Something dumb at some point, and now it's all oil changed up and everything's good.
I'm okay with finding dumb stuff.
I was so embarrassed.
I would rather it be that than rear main seal.
Oh yeah. But it just sucks because every time I find something like that, I'm like, man, I hope nobody ever sees that.
Well, your car.
I just air it out. Just go tell everybody.
That's how it's gonna be.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
Yeah,
part of it.
Dumb.
I would double check that filter from this point moving forward and make sure it's not a vibration thing or something like that.
Man, I don't know what I did there. I never had a filter leak. That's weird. Usually you're prying them deals off.
Well, on my deal, as you guys can see, my car's home now. Right? We've been the last week was at Jimmy's shop. We got the transmission in. That was all done. I was ready to bring it home. Then I got a really good deal on some long tubes we talked about last episode. So Jimmy said, hey, man, if you can have it done within a couple weeks, leave it here. And I said, well, it should only take me a couple days, tops, because I thought I was going to have to order some stuff. I was going to order I was going to order mufflers because I was going from 2.5-inch exhaust to 3-inch. So I thought, I'll order mufflers, and while it's on there, I'll have them in a couple days, get them from the Jungle store or Summit. Summit's close. We have a place in, pretty close to us. But so 6 days later, we got the long tubes on and the new exhaust ran. Turned out really nice, really good. I'm very happy with it. Got a little different sound to it. It's not much different, really. It's a little bit deeper. Other than that, I mean, it's the same thing like you guys just talked about. What I have to talk about is going to lead into our first topic, and that is, like I mentioned earlier, jobs that you how'd I word it earlier? I sent it to you guys. How simple, straightforward installs are anything but that. It's exactly what I text you guys. That's because putting on some long tubes shouldn't be that big of a deal, right? You would think. Other than just fighting the starter and the, normal junk, but my car was on a lift. So I thought all those issues, worst case, I was going to have to drop the starter down. That's what I thought. But, cut an ear off the transmission, clean it up later, and a couple other things. But like I said, it turned into and with that being said, I didn't work on it for 6 days in a row. When I did work on it, it was for an hour and 15 minutes a night. We had some welder troubles. Jimmy will love this. Between Jimmy's welding issues and just the welders malfunctioning, it took us some time to get that stuff lined out, which we did, and it's all good. There's no leaks. It sounds good. Everything's fine. But that's what we run into is little stuff like, man, I had no problem trimming the ear off that transmission. It didn't do anything anyway, but stick out.
Yeah.
Lop that baby off. But it's just one thing I didn't expect to do. And then I ordered the new cross member for the Turbo 400. Well, it's got the cutouts for the exhaust. Well, the passenger side was money. The header put in, the extension went straight through it, man. It was perfect. Driver side, not so much. It was a full 3.5 inches off one side. So I scored a stick of 3-inch exhaust pipe from our buddy James Payton, and took it over to Devin, and Devin put it on the tubing bender and made me a bend. Turned out to be perfect. I just said, when it needs to be, it's here. Here's where it needs to be. And I kind of showed him a little drawing. He made it happen. A couple nights later, we had it all booger welded together and good to go. But I'm just saying, it's something simple like that. That the headers themselves were on the first day, no problem. You know what I mean? I lucked out, man. They're a really good set of headers. I mean, they fit amazing, and everything's good with them. But that's just one of those things that, it's why I brought up simple, straightforward installs that end up taking a turn. And compared to what you guys have dealt with, John, with your deal today, and then Pharrell, I know you helped Jimmy with his Lightning taking the cab off, which sounds like it turned into more of a chore than you guys thought.
But, and I think we're going to come back around to your car because there's another topic that we're wanting to talk about that's going to apply to your car. But yeah, like just talking about straightforward, simple jobs that are supposed to be fairly easy. Jimmy's pulling the cab off of his 01 Lightning so that he can change head gaskets.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it is easier if you pull the cab. Like trying to work through the engine bay on that truck, the motor's sunk down so far in there, and there's so many.
It's under the dash.
It's under the dash. You're 100% right. The windshield is sitting on top of the supercharger. So it is simpler. It is easier. But you'll get those guys that do this for a living. And I've seen these guys do this for a living. And they're like, oh, man, just pull the cab. It's 6 bolts, a couple electrical connectors, and you're good, man. That thing just comes right off there, and everything's really super simple. And it's not. Now, that being said, it's going to save him a lot of time pulling that cab off because it really is going to be that much easier getting to all the components he needs to get to. Luckily, that truck was already out of antifreeze. It had already burned that through the combustion chamber. We went ahead and pulled the radiator out. We went ahead and pulled the coolant tank, the overflow tank, the 6 bolts that are in the cab, 4 of them, really good shape, really easy to get to. 2 of them, they're still going to be in that frame when he's got that cab off of the frame because those bolts are rusted into the bushings. They're seized. Luckily, I could get to the nuts on those, so we zipped the nuts off of those. There's a whole system of vacuum lines that's under that hood that you have to go through, find every little vacuum line, where it goes, what's it connected to, and then you'll give the line a tug, and sure enough, there's another one connected somewhere else. So it wasn't what I would call bad, not by any means, but it was definitely a job that you'll hear mechanics talk about, and mechanics are like, oh man, it's quick. Like I can knock that job out in an hour. Just get that cab off there, get to the motor, get to everything you need to get to. Most of the guys that I talk to that are mechanics, if they're changing the timing set on those trucks, they'll pull the cab just because it's that much easier. And it is, especially if you know exactly what you're doing and you do it every week, week in and week out. But it's definitely not as simple as they say it is.
Yeah. He did send a list to our group text. And he did give you your props. He said you did a lot of it. He said you guys only missed 2 firewall grounds, a plug for the ABS module, a wheel speed sensor on the passenger side. It's not bad for everything that had to be pulled apart, I guess. But.
The good thing on that truck is I had a pretty good idea of where everything was at because I've just gone through most of that stuff on my truck. His is just a little bit different because it's a Lightning, and I mean the vacuum modules are all still the same. Most of the underhood is all the same. It's just trying to figure a way to weasel everything out of there. There's a couple, but like dropping the AC compressor is a little more complicated because there's a lot more going on under that hood. So we had to, we dropped the AC compressor and try to attach it to the body, and we wound up having to take the fan off, and we didn't have the proper tool for that, and we found our way around it. But that's just some of the stuff that you run into. It wasn't
I've got
fun.
a fly buzzing around.
It wasn't that hard, but it wasn't fun.
There's a fly buzzing around, really pissing me off.
So
Kill it.
once again, Fro has a big long story about working on a white F-150. I bet the city of Miami is all tuned in for this deal.
That's funny.
The Lightning's a little different because it's actually a decent truck.
Your truck's a decent truck too. It's not a Lightning.
It's just,
but
it ain't Lightning. It's got same bed.
But no, no matter how much anybody tells you, that it's a simple, straightforward job. There's always going to be complications, and the running joke is every 30-minute job is one broken bolt away from being a 3-hour job.
That's a fact.
Luckily, we didn't break any bolts. Everything came out.
Yeah, but sometimes, how many times have you
everything
run into something? Huh?
I didn't say anything.
Fro was talking.
Yeah.
Is it the kung fu thing going on? Is that what's happening?
It's probably the kung fu thing.
Let me explain to everybody watching. Fro's internet sucks where he lives.
Yeah.
So I like doing this thing. Fro will be talking to us, and all of a sudden he turns into a robot, and then it turns into an old kung fu movie where he's like, "What are you guys doing? I had fun today," and then we don't know what's going on. So I think that's just what happened.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Did you move the microphone?
Okay.
That's what fixed it last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do every time.
Down the rain.
Yeah. Anyway.
But no, not as simple and straightforward as they said it was going to be, but it's still going to wind up being easier in the long run.
Yeah. But I was going to say, how many times have we ran into stuff that we thought was going to take forever and be a real pain in the butt, and we were able to stop and go back and look at the directions or look up information because that was too easy. We didn't do something right. You know what I mean? What's going on? But that's not the topic. The topic is little tiny stuff that you run into issues with. I can think of another one because on my wall right here, I've got a bunch of spare parts, and I'm looking at some Mosier lug studs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go through 2 packs of those deals just for my rears. Turns out, if you're going to do lug studs, guys, buy the $20 tool, the lug stud installation tool. It is awesome, and you won't mess everything up. Okay, sorry. That's my PSA for the day.
No,
buy the lug stud tool. It's awesome.
A lot of times that's what it comes down to is just having the proper tool for the proper job. Like when we got to the point where we had to pull the fan off that truck.
Hell, I can do it for you if you don't have the proper equipment. Well, okay.
But no, it's when we went to pull the fan off, there's a special wrench that you use for the Fords, and we didn't have it. So, I'm in there with a pair of channel locks, and Jimmy grabbed a pipe wrench, and we went in and got it off.
Like this.
Pretty much.
I'm sure there's a joke in there against the Ford guys that I'm not going to make because I'm a Ford guy too. Ish.
You got to have a special tool to grab that big nut. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yuck. Guys, every once in a while, that has to be done.
So that's probably gonna, unless John's got something to throw in there, because his job was one of those simple jobs that wasn't simple. Unless there's anything he wants to throw in, then I think we can kind of roll into that next topic.
Oh, I want a new topic.
Well, I mean,
but I want a new topic.
The only thing I wanted to talk to Bo about is I wanted to know with the long tubes versus the mid length that you had on there before, like does it have you noticed any differences? Does it feel any different when you drove it home? Did it drive any different? What was it that?
So I was running equal length shorties, right? And no, and here's why. Here's why I haven't noticed any difference, because I've only drove it from Jimmy's shop to my house. I mean, I've put 5 miles, 6 miles on it total, right? The thing is my car was tuned with those other headers, and and now it needs tuned. It's not. I mean, when I drive it, it's learning. I've got it set up where it's learning when I drive. I haven't drove it enough. I'm waiting on my tuner to get a hold of me to put a keyboard on it and go through things. But I'm very excited about what's going to happen here really soon. You know what I mean? You can just tell that it's there. I've said it before. It's a different car. It's a different car now. I mean, that converter or the change in the transmission, even if I would have just put the correct converter, excuse me, in the 700 R4, it would have been a different car. But I'm excited about it. But no, I haven't noticed any difference. Answer your question. Not yet. It sounds a little bit cooler. So it's deeper, but exhaust is way better.
Well, and the biggest problem you run into with long tubes is if you're using them on like a lowered vehicle, they tend to hang below the what people would refer to as the scrub line. They tend to hang below the frame and they drag on just about everything that you drive over.
These actually tuck up better than my other exhaust did.
Really?
Yeah, they really do.
Wow.
They're
I
good
would not have
header.
thought that.
They're a good name brand header. You know,
a good set of headers will. I'm looking at a set of headers right now that are 2 1/4 primaries and a 4-inch collector, and it don't appear to hang down as far as my current 1 7/8 with a 3.5-inch collector.
Yeah, and they're so good looking.
Oh my gosh,
that's a good looking header.
Boner stock for sure.
Yeah. I set it as my backdrop on my phone for 3 days.
Yeah.
When you sent me the picture, I was like, oh, that's my new backdrop.
Yeah.
So with the long tubes, a lot of times, like I said, they hang down low.
Yes.
So a lot of times what that'll do is that'll cause complications on getting the exhaust to kind of tuck up to where it needs to be. Did you have any problems with that?
Not really. The only thing that we did do was a little different in the very back. So I just ran the pipes all the way back, and I ran the mufflers right in front of the axle, and then we just did turn downs right there. And the only thing that we did do was by the time it made it back, because we didn't have a tubing bender, and we would get as far as we could one night, and we're like, oh, well, we need these 2 pipes flared out, and we need this one bent. So the next day, I would run and go get a hold of Devin, have him help me out, and then I'd wait for Jimmy to get off work, and then I'd take that stuff up there the next night, and then same thing. So that's why it took a few days. But the only thing we did do is that where the bumpers weld into the exhaust, we did kick the mufflers up a little bit at the very back and weld around, because the mufflers were the only things kind of hanging a little low, and they probably honestly would have been fine, in all honesty. But for the extra security, we kicked them up. I had hangers right there. We welded the hangers to the tips or to the turn downs. And it's fine, man. It's like I said, it literally sets nicer. It's tucked up nicer than the 2.5-inch exhaust. And I ordered the kit from Summit. It was a Summit brand G-body kit. You know what I mean? And it probably would have fit better. And I'm not going to mention any names, but at the time when I was doing this, I didn't have access to a welder. We were all, we didn't have the shop anymore. It was one of those situations. So I had to take it to a local little shop. I actually paid them more to install the exhaust system than I paid for the exhaust, than I paid for it. It was $40 more to have them install the kit that was supposed to be a bolt-on kit. Well, not bolt-on, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once again, at the time, I didn't have a garage. There was a lot of stuff I didn't have. So I just, and some things, if it's going to be way easier to drop it off and pick it up later and it's done, and it's as simple as a bolt-on exhaust, I didn't ask him what they were going to charge me when I dropped it off. I didn't think it was going to be that expensive, so I wasn't worried about it. And then even at that point, I was like, whatever, it's done. Here you go. You know what I mean? Now I don't have to worry about it. They really boogered that up, man. They took a kit that was supposed to fit that car, and I don't know why they did some of the things they did, but it was pretty bad. And I won't say it on this show who it was, but anybody I talk to in person in real life, you better believe I'm going to throw that shop under the bus. They're awful. Awful. And to charge me that much money for doing that crappy work, I mean, it was bad. You know, so I say that I probably won't. But
it's hard to find somebody who can do decent exhaust anymore. And you know, even the attention to detail. I've talked to you a couple times this week, and you were talking to me about the attention to detail that went into laying this system out. A lot of times when you go into a shop, they're just not that focused on detail. They just stick it in there and get it out my door. You know, I get paid 2.5 hours for this job. If I can get it done in half an hour, I'll go do another one.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned in the past before that our buddy Jimmy does really good work, and he's very detail oriented, and he does things the right way most of the time. You know what I mean? And I kind of renamed Jimmy this week. You know, I said, "Oh, Jimmy Foose is getting my exhaust lined out." So he would, man. He'd step back and he'd look. Sorry, I hit the microphone. He'd look down the lift and he'd be like, "Well, this side's a little bit higher, so let's get them straightened out." And I was like, "Dude, burn it in. Let's go." You know what I mean? I just want to get burn.
I bet he wouldn't have been doing that if he'd been laying on a creeper.
Yeah, that's true.
That true. Lift is.
I'd have been holding it with my eyes closed, going, "Pack it." You know?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and I appreciate that. You know, if I would have done this at home, it probably wouldn't have been as nice as it is right now. If you know what I mean.
For all the people laying under your car.
Jimmy being there, Jimmy sometimes he doesn't let people cut corners. He's kind of, it don't matter if it's his car or yours. If he's involved, he's gonna kind of almost guilt you into doing it the right way. You know what I mean? And that's what we need sometimes.
Well, and after working with Jimmy last night on that truck of his, when we walked into the shop, he was showing me some tool trays that he had built for the side of his toolbox.
Yeah,
and that was his only goal, was to get those tool trays done and get that set up to where he could mount it on the side of his toolbox. And you know, get all of his Harbor Freight tools in there as quick as he possibly could. But
that's the most old man thing we've talked about yet.
Well, and after looking at the way he had it set up, like it's a really good idea. He had a really good idea on it. But we started out working on that, and then it was one of those things where I said, you know, I came by here because I heard you guys were going to be working on pulling this cab. And he said, man, I was busy today. I had a lot of stuff going on. And I said, I get it. It's not a big deal. I said, man, I'll hang out for a while. And we kind of hung out and talked. And I haven't hung out with Jimmy in a while. It's been a minute. And he's changed a little bit from our younger days, but a lot. He's changed a bit. And we after a while, he looks over at me. He goes, man, how long do you think it'll take to pull this cab? And I said, man, I'm sure we can have it done by the end of the night. I'm sure it's not as easy as everyone says it is, but at the same time, I mean, it's 6 body mount bolts and some electrical connectors. Like, you're not going to finish it until you start it. And you know, we took a couple bolts out, and he fired the truck up and backed it up over on the lift. And then we took a couple more bolts out, and then we started pulling the vacuum tubes, and we pulled the radiator and the fan, and the AC compressor was wired up. I do believe if we'd have had some blocks to put on the arms for the lift, he would have had that cab off last night. But it's the same thing we've talked about a couple times on this show. Sometimes you need that friend who shows up and goes, man, let's just do this. And that's what it came down to with that job. Is that's what he needed, was somebody to just jump in on it and help him out. And, you know, he of course said thank you. And he's got the cab off there. Everything's good, John, you're muted.
I wouldn't say anything.
I thought you said something. I apologize, but no, it was talking to my wife earlier today. It's Jimmy looked over at me and he goes, I do believe if you had a lift in your shop, you'd probably have your car done already, just judging by how much effort you put into this.
Did you tell him, nah, I work on other people's stuff better than I work on mine?
Yeah.
That's almost exactly what I told him. I said, it's not a question of having a lift. It's not a question of having a certain tool. It's a question of I actually enjoy working with other people. I actually enjoy having a decent conversation. If you've hung out with Jimmy for any amount of time at all, you know that he's going to say some inappropriate stuff. He's going to say some stuff that'll embarrass you when you're standing there by yourself. He's not someone you can take out in public. If
you've worked with me anytime at all, you've heard me say something that I know I've told you 1,000 times, Fro. I'm not going to get it done with that attitude.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know how many times we're like working on some stuff and old negative Nelly over there. You're right. We're not going to get it done with that attitude. Let's go. And I'm glad to hear that yesterday you were that guy.
It was, I think it all comes down to the previous weekend, working on my truck and actually getting to hang around Jimmy and Bo. You kind of forget what it's like to work on stuff with your friends. I've worked on stuff with Bo and I've worked on stuff with you, John, several times. But I haven't worked on something with Jimmy in a very long time. And it showed, I had forgot what it was like working with Jimmy. It has a lot of pluses because there's some decent conversation there. It has a lot of negatives because that guy is, he's got a gift. He's got a gift for making you feel dumb. He's got a gift for telling you exactly what you're doing wrong. And that's who he is. That's who Jimmy is. You got to appreciate that if you're going to be friends with him.
I defend several of my friends to my some of my family members and some of my other friends by saying stuff like that. Oh no, I appreciate the way he is. I like that. No, you got to be around him more, but to get that kind of, to get his sense of humor. No, we're all just messed up. Some more than that.
Not wrong.
and that's what I've told several people. When I get to talking to somebody about my friends and about the group of people that I run around with, they're like, "Oh, he sounds like a good time," and I'm like, "No, you would hate him. Like you probably don't need to go anywhere near him." And a lot of times that's what it is. We've learned to accept each other's flaws. We've learned who each one of us is and what we can and can't do when we're around those people. And I think that's something that as friends, as gearheads, you adapt to that over time.
Yeah, that's true. Some people also become sissies. Not trying to do all that. Anyway, enough of that, Fro. You're getting all sappy. Let's talk about.
I'm sorry. You want to hear a dirty joke that Jimmy taught me? Good, because I didn't want to say
appropriate for the show.
No, not at all.
Then nah. I mean, I want to know later when we stop recording. I need you to tell me that. But right now, no.
You know how to get a dog to quit humping your leg.
How's that?
I'll have to tell you next time.
Hey, something totally off subject because I like doing this to us. I'm watching a YouTube channel today, Miss Midnight Maverick. Was this today or yesterday? Yesterday?
I don't know what you're talking about.
John
my days run together, but I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm watching the video, and it's of Miss Midnight Maverick on day 4 of race week, and they're at Bandamere. And I'm watching it looking for Mike Honcho, which Mike Honcho is the orange Nova behind John, if anybody didn't know that.
Yes.
There's Mike Honcho.
Mike Honcho himself.
Yeah. So I'm looking for him the whole time. Next thing I know, she's in the pits, panning through. Bam! There's Mike Honcho. I paused it, screenshot it, send it to John. Check it out. Yeah.
I didn't even catch it.
Yeah.
I'd already watched that video and I didn't even catch it.
I got pictures of my wagon with Leroy from whenever you took my car on the first race week. Took the wagon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One of my favorite pictures.
That was one of the most embarrassing. You said some. Yeah, that was one of the most embarrassing time slips ever.
Yeah,
that was one of the most embarrassing races ever. That was like everybody talks a big game, and we all walk around like we're 10 feet tall, and then you see some of these guys that you watch on YouTube, you see all their cool stuff, and you pull up into the lanes and you're like, oh, well, they're going to let all those cars run. And then they're going to run all these other ones. And they say, you two, come on up. And you're like, oh, crap. That's a guy that's friggin' Cletus McFarland. And I'm getting ready to look like an idiot.
In a 285 horsepower wagon.
Yeah. Yeah. And I literally sat there and watched the light turn green. And I was just watching a drag race happen in the lane beside me. And then I was like, oh, crap. And I went. And I mean, you know what the car ran at that point. It was super impressive for sure.
Yeah. Super slow.
And I got to the other end and pull off, and he's over there gathering his parachute and all that nonsense. And I'm like, I stopped and got out because it's Cletus. I mean, and you're one-on-one with the dude. And he runs over slapping fives, and like, that was awesome. That was like, it was
you were next to him.
I hope he acts like that every time he runs. And I don't know. Everybody should act like that every time they run. He was like, that's the most exciting pass I've ever made. There wasn't a camera on that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't filming. Like, oh, hey, I got a camera and whatnot. How was it? Nah, he just ran up high-fiving and crap like it was the most exciting thing he was going to do all week.
I'm with you. That's a lot of his charm for me. Is how excited and how much he really loves doing what he does. If that goes away, I don't know that I'll watch the channel anymore.
No, he's so excited, and he's excited
about everything.
Himself. He's excited for other people. He's excited for everything going around him.
That's what I like. He's
ridiculously
for other
positive.
People. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. You've turned into the Ridiculously Positive YouTube channel.
This makes up for everything that I just said. But how have I never heard this story before?
Are you pooping me? Really?
I'm not. I've never heard this story before. That's the most awesome thing I've heard from your first race week.
Yeah. So race week, when I was in the wagon, so the first night I spent like 2 hours having porch beers with Finnegan and his whole crew that was filming him. That was a hoot. And the next day raced Cletus in Leroy. Yeah. It was like best race week ever. Wasn't even in my car.
Okay, let's continue to go further off the rails because that makes me want to bring up something else. So we've talked about this kind of. I know Fro and I have. So they're doing a sick 66 Dragon Drive. It's starting in Missouri and ending in New Mexico.
So
we'll be going through Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Well, they are going to be stopping at Tulsa Raceway Park or Thunder Valley. I would love for them to stop at Mocan, but Mocan just can't facilitate that deal. Do you guys agree?
Agreed.
Yeah.
If I were to,
as cool as it would be, They don't have the space to facilitate that many cars.
If I were to see initially, my guesses for where they were going was I was going to go with St. Louis. I was going to go with Ozark. I was going to go with Tulsa, probably Amarillo, and then whichever track they wind up in New Mexico, because the flyer said from Missouri to New Mexico.
Right, but we talked
almost
about this, and the track you mentioned is technically in Illinois.
Technically, it's in Illinois.
Yeah, we don't count Illinois as a state.
I didn't know that.
Now I've been in St. Louis since 19. I feel like 4 years now. I'm kind of a St. Louisian, St. Loser. I don't know.
St.
Whatever.
Loser? Is that how
St.
do you
Louis,
say that?
St. Louis, sir.
Okay, yeah.
I'm in St. Louis.
Right.
St.
Illinois
Lunatic.
don't count. They got some weird government over there. It's not even a thing. So like you can see the arch from Gateway. It's Gateway Park. It's if you're going to Gateway, it's in St. Louis.
Either way, it's in October of 24. Right?
That's a really nice time of year to go from here to Albuquerque, which is
I feel like we're going to
miles.
be staying. I feel like I'm going to be staying the night with you next October.
Yeah. And then
I feel like you're going to be close enough to the track for the first day.
I feel like
That's
it'd be
what
really
needs to happen.
hard to not do a here to Albuquerque race week being right here. Like I'd be down like 4 flats on a Cadillac.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes.
After we discussed it, after we talked about it, I don't think it will start in St. Louis. Now the reason I say
he's getting ready to say something really profound.
No, I'm just saying I don't think it'll start in St. Louis. I think if it were going to start at Gateway, I think the flyer would say Illinois to New Mexico. I don't think they would. I don't think they would the split hairs like that. I think they would come right out and say we're going from Illinois to New Mexico. That's what
They're not going to start at Flying H. That's like 150 miles from Route 66.
Okay, that was the thing.
They're
about
not going to. There's no other tracks between right here and frickin' Springfield if you want to run 8th mile.
Hey, it does. Hey, it says on the flyer. Hey, hey.
What?
It says on the flyer it's 8th mile.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, let me pull the flyer up. I got it saved.
Oh, damn.
But I'm almost positive it says 8th mile.
Bummer.
666 will be an 8th mile event.
Oh, that's kind of okay.
Just like Death Week.
So
Yeah,
that's an 8th mile event, guys.
That brings the next question. You know, we talked about this in our text message group, and we mentioned Mocan. I didn't think Mocan was as close to Route 66 as it is. Apparently, it's only about 7-8 miles from.
You can almost hold your breath between Mocan and the Route 66.
Exactly, and that's. Does the fact that it's 8th mile change anything as far as would they include Mocan?
I think Mocan is. I think the only reason Mocan would be out was because it can't facilitate. There's not enough room there for 250, 300 racers and all the spectators that would be there. Yes, John.
Is Mocan not solid walls at this point?
No, it is. I think they redid. Yeah.
What about Rogersville?
I don't know.
I
don't know about
maybe Rogersville was still K-Rail. Is it not? Or because that might be it, because that's one of the things you look at.
I feel like that would be a factor.
Are they a solid wall or are they K-Rail? And because a lot of them will avoid that deal. But
yeah, I would too.
Anybody can time a guy on 8th mile, but Rogersville ain't gonna do 1/4 mile.
Well, and there was a rumor years ago that Rocky Mountain Race Week was actually planning to go to Mocan, but that was back when they were a guardrail track, and everybody threw such a fit that they said, "Okay, we're gonna go somewhere else with this."
Yep.
It would have been really cool to see that. It would have been really cool to be a part of that.
So here's my question. Frel, I know you really don't care. John, so I guess it's mainly for you. If you can only go to one, and you got Rocky Mountain Race Week, the old route where it starts in Tulsa or Thunder Valley, or you can do SICK 66 that starts somewhere near you and goes to New Mexico. And you can only do one. Which one are you doing?
Man, I don't make me choose like that.
Here's the thing. We know Rocky Mountain Race Week is awesome. We know
I
the people
know.
are awesome. We know the sponsors are awesome. We know everything about it is a great, great positive time.
Yeah.
Unless this 66 thing does good, I doubt they'll do it again. But we know that their events are pretty awesome too, just from
Yeah. No, it
watching.
sounds like a party a whole week long.
Because the reason
Man,
I ask is I may be in that boat. I may have to be able to do one. Because if one's in September and one's in October, I don't know if I can do both.
Oh gosh, September and October.
Rocky Mountain Race Week will be the first to be end of September, early October. Then 666 is the end of October.
Man,
hold on, I got
to say September and November, and then it sounds farther apart.
Well, and the October event, the SICK 66 is going to be, I believe, the 24th is when they're kicking off that deal. So it's late enough in October.
Oh, hold on, no, 666, Missouri to New Mexico, October 11th to the 18th.
Oh man, I thought it was 24th.
And race week says September/October, so it's toward the end of September.
You'd be doing overlaps or back to backs.
You'd be you'd be home for a week and then back on the road, week or two,
or not home for a week.
Well, and you've also got Drag Week falling in right there in that period somewhere. Because Drag Week usually falls in right behind Rocky Mountain Race Week or right before.
Drag Week shows just says September. There's not a date knocked down for September, but yeah.
It says Drag Week, September, Race Week, September, October.
Yes.
Death Week, October. Yes. Solid dates.
I assume you're pulling those dates off Drag and Drive Addiction.
Right out of my butt.
Yep.
Yeah. At Drag and Drive Addiction. I know Bro maybe don't care as much. Bo and myself both super into the Drag and Drive deal. If you don't get all your Drag and Drive news from draganddriveaddiction.com, then you must be a loser. They have all the dates. They have all the up-to-date info on what you want to see and what you want to hear.
And they do a really good job with like regular videos talking about stuff coming up and letting you know what's going on. And they keep all the stats, man. They have crazy statistics.
Yeah.
I was watching one today or I don't know. Is it today or yesterday? And they were saying how many Drag and Drive cars have competed in the last 2 years. And then out of those, there's only been like, it's either 3 or 5 people that have done more than 4 events in a year or every year or something like that. But they keep up with some crazy statistics.
Yeah.
And the guy, of course, we know the guy who runs that. We're friends with that dude. As much effort as he's putting into collecting those numbers, he's going to PRI to give away the championship belt for the Drag and Drive world champion. So it's literally one of those things where he's putting that much effort into it. The least you can do is go over there and give that guy a follow. Drag and Drive.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're into the Drag and Drive stuff, and if you're not already following him, like John said, you want to. There's tons of information. A lot of drivers on there talking and sharing information. So it's a all around a good deal.
And I'm not, and we've talked about this before. I'm not a drag racing guy. I don't, live for these events like some of you guys do. But it's still one of those things where you want to keep up with that. That Route 6, that 66 thing that's coming up, that's going directly through. That has no choice but to go directly through our hometown. And
I hope it does.
And Miami Miami, Oklahoma has a lot of things there that would draw some attention. You know, there's that mural that has the Route 66 sign on it. It'd make a great place for a checkpoint. You know, the city of Miami has hosted some big events like that before. It'd be really nice to see those guys, you know, be able to throw a party for these guys, be able to have some fun with these guys.
Yeah.
But
And I mean, there's a couple other spots. Like I mentioned the other day, I feel like, you know, the Coleman Theater would be a really good checkpoint.
the Coleman would be a really good
The
checkpoint.
downtown Main Street in Miami is nice and straight, which I'm with you. Bring the curves back. But it's nice and straight, and it's nice road. Probably the only road in Miami that's really nice, but whatever. So I would love to see that come directly through Miami. That'd be great. Even if it was just for a stop, just for a checkpoint, pictures, and peel out. It'd be really cool if they stopped and stayed the night.
Pictures and peel outs.
You know what I mean? Huh?
It would.
Pictures and peel outs.
Yeah.
You know, as someone who's followed the Drag and Drive guys pretty heavily, you know, you guys have always been into the Drag and Drive stuff. So it's one of those things that I've always paid attention to. But you know, one of the big things with those guys is trailer burnouts, and it'd be really great to set up a place for those guys to be able to do their trailer burnouts and take some pictures. You know, I'm certain we know a lot of the fire department guys. I'm certain the fire department would be happy to set out there. We know the police officers. You know, I'm sure the
Hot Rod Central would be a great place to do that little burnout spot.
Also,
Hot Rod Central would be great.
Being somewhat of a drag and drive guy who's done just a tickle of this event type style, you don't have to set up a place.
No, you don't.
Somebody does a burnout, trailer burnout or otherwise. The other 300 guys are going to do a burnout in that same spot.
I think what Fro's getting at, if there was a safe space,
yeah,
we're like, hey, you are going to get away with it right here and here only. I feel like people will take advantage of that.
Yeah, no,
you know,
for sure.
Yeah.
Regardless, so I look forward to that event.
Yeah, I hope they come through Miami. I mean, there's some places, there's some things to be offered in our
unless it's just a scheduling nightmare. I'd be hard pressed not to do that deal.
I feel like I'm probably going to have to. Well, listen, especially I know we talked about race week 2.0 or whatever, just race week. We've been through this. If they come back to the old route ish, and like I said, we know it's such a good event, and the sponsors are awesome, and the people are awesome that run it. It'd be hard not to. It'd be hard to make the choice.
Yeah.
So
compete in just one.
Just real quick, let's kind of get into that because I think that'll actually explain some things to some people. So the event is called Sick 66.
Yeah.
The reason it's called that, and I'm sure, you know, being in the section of Oklahoma we're in, someone hears 666, they're probably gonna look at you a little bit funny. So Tom Bailey and Tom Bailey owns Sick the magazine. So Sick the magazine is going to be the people putting this event on. Everything goes back to Tom Bailey was a drag weeker. Tom Bailey built a Camaro that was destined to run 6 seconds. So he named it 6 Seconds. So that's where all of this name originates from. Tom Bailey's been putting on Sick Week and what is it?
Sick Week, Sick Summer. Sick Week was the original. Then they had Sick Week, and Sick Summer. Now they have 6 Week, Sick Summer, and Death Week. Now he's got Sick Week, Sick Summer, Death Week, and 666. If you rewind 15 years, Hot Rod Drag Week was the one and only drag and drive style event. Everybody pretty well bases their rules and regulations off of that. But he has made it like he's kind of a party. And
that
he kind of set his deal up to be kind of a party. That's what makes it really hard to guess where his stops are going to be, because, you know, some of these are like some of these are really easy to guess because they're 100% at an NHRA level track. You're going to be the drag week guys. And then you got like Rocky Mountain Race Week. Those guys they're at a nice safe facility, a nice clean facility that can handle 300 cars coming in and out that day. And they don't give two shits if you're going to have to drive 100 miles or 420 miles. And then you got Bailey's deal. They usually don't go that far. And what's weird is between,
you look up Bailey's car that he takes on these trips, and you'll see why.
You will see why. It is a legit pro mod running 6 seconds and driving from track to track.
Yeah.
But they're usually sub 200 miles from track to track. And it's hard to get at least between here and Tulsa, which I guess Rogersville is 8 mile. But between, I guess, Rogersville to Tulsa, Tulsa to Oklahoma City is 100 miles. Oklahoma City to Amarillo would be 2-ish. Amarillo to, I don't know, do you just like time warp through New Mexico because that don't count, or I don't know where
it ends
right there.
That's where it ends.
Ends
it's
in
New
Mexico,
end in
right?
New Mexico.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which
Well,
Fro has a theory on that. You know, they put out a year in advance. What tracks do you guys think? What tracks do?
yeah. So
Fro's
we're gonna
like,
tell them
I
how
think
to.
they're trying to get a
schedule.
schedule made for them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I think I think they're already working on it, but at the same time, I think it's one of those things where they're trying to. It's brilliant marketing on their part, if you want to be honest about it, because if they put it out a year in advance and start taking suggestions as far as where everybody wants to go, like how do you put together a bad event if you're going to that level to get your spectator input, to get your participant input? You know, there's guys that are going to run this event no matter what, because it's a Tom Bailey event, because it's a sick event. So it's, you know, I'm certain that they're looking for a little bit of input at least on how they want things to go.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? They want to include the racers. They want their input.
There's a lot of these events where they don't. There's some of these events where they're setting up the event the way they want to.
No. Nope. 100%.
I think some of these events are dictated by a lot of
1,000% disagree.
Why?
Bo?
What's that? No, go ahead.
No, they don't. They don't not care what you want. They want to cater to what you want. They want to get people there. They're trying really hard to get people there.
Yeah.
And they're listening to everything you say when you're there.
Now, even on the Rocky Mountain Race Week, they ask suggestions from the racers. They get on the RMR's page and they ask suggestions. The thing with them is Matt Frost, who runs, you know, spearheads the Rocky Mountain Race Week deal. That guy's a hardcore racer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He does drag week. He knows
so he knows what's up. So he's already got a really good idea. But I've seen him get on there and post pretty simple, basic questions. What would you guys like to see? This or this? Or
yeah.
So yeah, they absolutely want to cater to the racers for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think some of the stops and some of the stuff kind of dictates on, some of the sponsors have a little bit of say so, or like you said, John, it's not going to be too hard to figure out where they're going to be going because there's only so many tracks that they will want to race at.
Well, there's only going to be so many that are Route 66 adjacent.
Well, and that's the main thing with this one.
I don't know how many people are going to be leaving their rig at track A, but that's one of the biggest things is if you bring 300 racers into a racetrack on Friday and you have an event Friday, Saturday, and you say, okay, track A, Canadian track, obviously, we're going to beauty, eh? We're gonna bring 300 guys in. They're gonna park the rigs, and they're gonna leave them here. starting Friday. Well, we're going to tie your track up until the following Friday or Saturday when all these people get back. You can't do anything. You're not going to be able to do all this other stuff that whole week. What's Bailey doing with the A to B thing? Is everybody going to
question?
Where are you going to park your thing at?
See, and that's
That's a good
another
question.
thing. That's another thing that makes me think this isn't going to be St. Louis, because I can't see you tying up.
What?
I can't see you tying up worldwide for an entire week.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna say because it's a bad area or something. Like,
No, but
Come
you can't leave
on.
anything in St. Louis.
no, I would never say that about St. Louis.
They got
You
shop
kidding?
plotter in a lot of cities. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I just don't see him tying up worldwide technology for a week.
I don't know
I
that
really
they
don't.
would do that.
I mean, they did it for Drag Week, but
Oh,
I don't know. And worldwide technology, they've got a really good setup for doing that. They have like a back 40 parking. I don't know where if you guys were up here for Drag Week, where they parked all the tow rigs, all that business was on the west side of the track, back in a giant lot back there. They can completely gate that off. They could have had events. They just wouldn't have had all the parking, but you're not going to have events that need that level of parking during the week anyway. But they got a pretty good setup for this style of event, because you can park everybody in a giant area.
Yeah.
Boom, pits are another giant area.
So I'm not familiar with that deal. So would there be enough to park everybody's rigs out back and still have events and not interrupt what they have going on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no
Well,
doubt.
then maybe there you go.
Yeah.
That solves that.
Yeah. And not that there's anything wrong with 8th Mile, but a lot of these quarter-mile tracks, several of the events I've went to at Gateway a couple of years have been 8th Mile events, just because they don't want to glue the whole track down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cost twice as much. So
True. It doesn't
I don't
matter to
know.
me. It's gonna be fun either way.
I don't care. I don't give two spits what goes on. I'm still going to do whatever.
Well, I do know that, I got my event fund going already. So if I'm gonna have to start, where's my wife at? If I'm gonna have to start, no, I'm joking. I gotta start saving money for 2 events. I gotta start doing a bunch of side jobs, I guess.
Yeah, $20 is $20.
Man, I'll tell you what. I'm kind of getting overloaded with them, man. I've actually been, I've talked to my wife about this, and I'm looking for a shop now. I'm in the hunt for a shop to. There's several people right now that have jobs lined up, and they're ready to do some things, and they want me to do them, and they got money. So
Yeah,
I feel like I should probably get into that. And
strike
my
while
wife
the iron's
supports it.
hot. Yeah, especially if there's something you can. Yeah.
People just
talking
want
about
stuff
paint
painted
jobs now.
Huh?
Are we talking about paint jobs now?
No.
I mean,
That
jobs
kinda
in
led to it,
general.
I guess.
No, I think honestly we're getting about to the point in the show where we probably need to start trying to quit, because for some reason it takes us about 20 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
And this is where a pro likes to start his editing process.
Not anymore. Because here's the editing process: is when we hit end, I start uploading it right away.
Because Bo's editing process is a
Here's my
lot
editing
less
process.
lengthy.
Upload. No, but what were we talking about before the show? You are still going to be editing the audio side of this, and you will still be
Yes.
posting for regular podcasts.
So for the audio version of the podcast, we're probably, and I'm probably going to leave it this way. I'm probably going to leave it to where each audio episode comes out a week after the YouTube episode. Part of the reason for that is I like having a little bit of extra time to edit. In all honesty, I'm lazy. That's why it took so long to get the last couple out. I do have our last week's episode ready to go for Monday. That will be, it's already scheduled, it's already set up, it's good to go. I think that's how I'm going to leave it. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it to where it's about a week behind. Upload the audio, get it set up to where we can. What are you doing? Get it set up to where we're about a week behind on the audio. Release that. I am editing some things out of the audio episode because even right now we do a lot of jokes that only work on video.
Whatever. You're editing out the good stuff.
And I and you're probably right, and that's why everybody needs to watch the YouTube. And I'm pretty sure I just locked up. Did I just lock up? Can you guys see me?
He's super locked up.
There we go.
You get to see Fro lock up. Good job, guys.
Stellar episode, fellas.
I can't tell if Fro's locked up or just.
I can see him moving.
Effect.
Oh, now he's locked up.
Are we back yet?
Yeah. We're
nope.
back. No.
Okay. All right. So no, I'm gonna leave it about a week behind. I'm gonna edit out some of the stuff that only works on videos. So watch the YouTube stuff.
I'm gonna.
Yes. I'm gonna edit that out too. Just watch me.
We'll pull that out.
But what else do you guys want to throw on here? So are we still planning? We had plans for next week's episode. Are we still operating under those plans, or are we looking at a possible different?
Man, I wish he could hear real time. Hey, everybody that don't know.
Yes.
This is the week. We don't like to date episodes because evidently that's stupid. I don't know why, because I don't know things. But this is the week before Thanksgiving. Today is Sunday, and the next Thursday that we have is going to be the Thursday that Thanksgiving is. So we are doing a very special Friendsgiving episode for the Hot Rod Friends. Yep. So not that everybody that listens isn't a Hot Rod friend, but we're going to get a very special group together. And when I say special, it has multiple meanings.
Very
special. They're very special. We're going to do a Friendsgiving episode.
A highly edited, I'm going to go ahead and guess.
I'm guessing you're going to need to put some earmuffs on, or we're going to edit. Maybe we may have to pay somebody to edit this deal, because
I'm going to have to get like an air horn to do the beep thing, so I don't have to do any editing. I'll just anticipate.
So if you get on and you can see a bunch of people doing like mouth motions, but all you can hear is an air horn, you're going to know that's the Friendsgiving episode.
Yeah, that's normal.
Love us. Don't miss out. When you come back from Thanksgiving, let your boss know that you're going to be cracking up while you're listening to some things, because this is a group of guys that you do not want to miss. They're some really, really good dudes, but maybe it don't sound like it all the time.
We might want to put a warning label on that one before you start listening.
Yeah, could
I feel like there's going to be some words said and some things. Fro apparently didn't agree with us. He's out.
Yeah, Fro dipped.
He gone.
He gone.
No, it should be a good time. Everybody knows. We really do try to keep our language somewhat clean here. We keep topics fairly clean
By and large, yes.
But with our group of buddies, it's going to be That's going to be a tall order to keep everything.
There may be eggplant jokes.
Yeah. Bro, you good?
No, the connection here is terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Because of the rain. Adjust your microphone. It helps.
Just the boom.
Yeah.
Didn't help.
I hear you perfect now.
Yeah. Sounds good now. Okay.
Oh, I do have to. I've got to say one thing, because if I don't,
One thing.
my daughter's gonna be mad at me. So I just want to say hello,
Hi,
Jolie. I'm talking about you on the show right now. That's all she needs to hear. She'll be good.
Hi, Jolie.
That's gonna make her very happy. Yeah, John said hi.
All right.
Rose
Rose
stuck.
locked up like a drum. Everybody love everybody.
All
Peace
right.
out.
Well,
Good night.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I'm gonna see if I can do as good as Fro.
You want to
Okay.
hit it 9 times.
There's a button right here in the top right hand corner of my computer screen.
You wanna
that
keep
says
clicking
end
it.
recording.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit it
9
one
times.
time and see what it does. Okay, ready? See you, everybody.
Peace.